friends, welcome back. This is, for those of you that don't know, this is the Knit, Knot, and Weave podcast. My name is Dorothy. This is my little corner of YouTube that I talk about and document my fiber adventures. Mainly that would be knitting, crocheting, weaving, and yarn dyeing. You can find me on Ravelry as Phelia, which is Pheelya, and you can find me on Instagram as Knit, Knot, and Weave. I had planned to podcast after Sheep and Wool, but the weekend after Sheep and Wool, I was very sick on Saturday. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I was not sick, or at least I was not COVID sick. I think it was more stress, exhaustion related. Saturday, I slept pretty much all day. It's just the way my body is handling stress right now from work. A lot going on in the building right now to try and close up the school year and get the seniors off to be graduated. Yay! So like I said, I slept most of the day on Saturday, and then I woke up on Sunday to hear about the tragedy that happened up in Buffalo to our fellow brothers and sisters who were just out grocery shopping. And then Sunday, there was an incident out in California at a church where more of our brothers and sisters were massacred. We need to do better, folks. We need to do better in this country. Whew. Last weekend, I had the pleasure of attending my niece's graduation from nursing school. Actually, I didn't get to attend her graduation ceremony. I managed to attend her pinning ceremony, which I think was a bit more of an intimate setting. She graduated with let me see if I get this right, a BSN, so Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. She was attending Notre Dame of Maryland, and during the pinning ceremony, they called them up. She got her pin for nursing, and the teachers performed the washing of the hands for all the nurses that were graduating, and it was really very, very nice. My parents were in town for the weekend, and we had a lovely weekend dinner. On Sunday was her graduation day. Unfortunately, I had already signed up to do a fundraiser with my gym. We did a swing-a-thon for the Casey Cares Foundation, which helps family with kids who are going through various things. And what this foundation does is it helps support the whole family, and by taking the whole family to events around so that the younger and older brothers and sisters don't get, so that they don't feel neglected, because so much time and care does need to go into the sick sibling who is trying to get better. So it's a good foundation. So I was at the swing-a-thon while my niece and the rest of the family was at her graduation, and I will add some of that later on. Maybe at the end of the podcast, I'll insert some pictures from those two events. And then this past Monday, we had the incident at another elementary school in Texas. And as I was watching some of the news on that, one of the reporters, I don't even remember which station I was watching at the time, but they were expressing that we are probably going to see more of these kinds of violent episodes, racial episodes towards our brothers and sisters in the coming months. They're trying to say that it's going to get worse due to COVID, due to the stress that everybody went through from COVID in regards to the racial incidents. That is just purely learned hate. That is learned fear, learned hate. And we as a society, we have got to do better. We have got to do better with explaining that we are all one race. There is one race in this world, folks. It is the human race. One race. And we have got to start learning from history's mistakes and not trying to go back to them. We've got to do better, folks. We have got to do better as a human race. So, with that being said, I'm going to move on to what this podcast is really about. What are we going to talk about in this episode? Like I said, I have not been feeling well. I've been under a lot of stress with work, and in regards to the incidents that have happened in our society, I have not felt like doing a whole lot of knitting or crocheting, even though that probably would have been helpful for my stress. But anyhow, I do have one finished object. I have a couple of whips to share. I do have some Maryland sheep and wool purchases and adventures to share with you. And this will probably be a shorter episode than what I normally podcast. So without further ado, let's move on. So the first thing I'm going to share are my finished objects. I finished the socks that I shared in my last episode. This yarn is from my friend Anisha's stash when we sold her all of her fiber-related items when she passed. This obviously was not a full skein when I got it, but it was enough to make me a pair of socks. These were my normal rounded toe-up socks, rounded toe, cast on to 64 stitches. These were done in 2x2 rib with the shadow wrap heel and Jenny's super stretchy bind off. And this makes pair number 9, 10 for this year. I can't remember. But anyway, I am well on my way to 12. And today being September 28th, I believe, is the day I can cast on for sock camp. So this is the first year I'm going to attempt sock camp. We'll see how many socks I get done over the summer, but one pair of socks. Now we're going to move on to whips. My whips. And first up is my linen stitch scrappy blanket. And the way I'm doing this blanket, I really liked how Dramatic Knits was doing his linen stitch blanket. He was using 2 strands of yarn, so I am using a size H crochet hook. I'm using the Furls crochet hook, which I can't remember what size an H is. but it is an H crochet hook, and I'm holding 2 strands of fingering weight together, but one color changes I hold the strands together for 2 rows, but one strand changes every single row. I hope that makes sense. And let me see, where is my progress keeper? Oh, so here I have my little Tigger progress keeper. I love Tigger. I'm a big Tigger fan. And that's where I was last time. Oops, I'm upside down. So that's where I was last time. And here's everything that I've managed to crochet over the last 2.5 weeks. So I'm having a lot of fun with this blanket. I'm only using the colors once, but if I knit with a color, I knit with it for 2 rows. So this last row was a mixture of a blue and orange, and then the row below it was orange with a white, and then the row below it was the white with another color. And it's making a very nice marled effect to this blanket. Let's see. I probably got about 12, 13 inches done on this blanket, so it's going to be a while. I don't know. I highly doubt that you'll see this blanket again until the fall, because it's getting a little too hot to have on my lap as I crochet. But I am loving this blanket. For those of you that like the Tigger Progress Keeper, I bought that on Etsy off of Vicky Knits. I'm sorry, Knitty Vic. Okay, so the front of the card says Vic's Knits, and her Instagram is Knitty Vic. So I will put a link to her shop down below as well. So my next whip is yet another scrappy blanket. It is the Granny Stripe Scrappy Blanket. Say that 3 times fast. Granny Stripe Scrappy Blanket, Granny Stripe Scrappy Blanket, Granny Stripe Scrappy Blanket. Ooh. Got my crochet hook caught. This is being knit up single-stranded with fingering weight. So I am using a size C crochet hook. And a size C is a 2.75 crochet hook. So now that I have the furls box in front of me, the size H that I was using on my other blanket is a 5mm hook. And where is my progress keeper? Here it is. So as you can see, here's my progress keeper that I got from Trilogy Yarns in, I think it was her Halloween Advent that I had. Was it Halloween? I think so. I don't remember. Anyway, so since the last podcast, I've managed to do all of this. Every row is a different color. And once I've used the color in this blanket, it goes into the linen stitch blanket. And once the color is used in the linen stitch blanket, it goes into another bag to be used for whatever my next scrappy project will be. But again, this one's probably about 1/4 of the way through. I'd say there's probably about 25 inches on this. Not to say that this blanket is going to be 100 inches long, but I do like my blankets long enough that if I curl up under them, I can, usually scratch my toes and get them under my feet so that my feet stay warm. And it is extra wide. It's wider than a normal, throw blanket, because again, I like to be able to snuggle under it. So I do use these locking stitch markers when I'm not working on my blanket, because it locks the crochet stitch in so that you can't accidentally unfurl it. And then I would say for this blanket, every 10 rows I will stop and weave in the ends so that I don't have all the ends to weave in when I'm finished with the blanket. It just makes it easier for me. So I should probably move this progress keeper up. I probably should have done that on the last blanket, but now my project keeper is moved up and we can put this one away until the fall, because this one is definitely too hot to have on your lap in the summer. I am still currently working on the, oh my God, my I guess I would call them my twin socks, the black and red striped socks, where one is mostly black and the other one is mostly white with speckles of red in it. I just don't have that project bag up here, but I did manage to get the heel done, and I'm about halfway up the leg. So those will definitely be finished by the next podcast. And then my last whip to share with you guys for now is in this lovely little basket that I got as a Christmas gift. We do, me and a couple of my friends, we do a white Christmas, white elephant at our Christmas tea event, and I managed to get this. And in here is my I don't know why I keep trying to call this my everyday sweater, my weekender sweater. So I am currently using Malabrigo Rios in the Pines colorway. I did cast, I cast it on for a size, for my current chest. I was not going to add 10 inches of positive ease. I did make the back a little bit longer. Other modifications I am planning for the sweaters, I am planning to make it a little bit longer than it's called for, because I'm hoping to make it more tunic-like so that I can wear it with leggings in the winter. And it's also going to be faded, because I'm using yarn from my stash and I did not have enough in this colorway to do the whole sweater. But I did manage to find enough colors so that I could do, I have to bring this blanket in here, basket. But I did find enough colors that worked with it to make it into a fade. So that is my plan for this sweater. I enjoy working with Malabrigo yarn. I find it very, especially the Rios, I find it very soft and a supple yarn. This colorway is just beautiful with the different variegations. I'm not normally a green person, but this feels like a little greeny, tealy, blacky to me. But I'm looking forward to getting this finished. It was a knit along in my knitting group for April and May, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to finish it by the end of May. But it will get finished before the weather turns cold again. And so that is all I have for projects right now. But I will move on to stash enhancements, which really for this episode is Maryland sheep and wool. I took the Friday before Maryland sheep and wool off. My girlfriend Melissa and I had planned to go to some of the early events that were planned on Friday. Unfortunately, she got very, very sick. Not COVID sick, but definitely I think she may have had some sort of a bad cold or a flu sick. So she did not go out Friday when it was that nasty, nasty rain. And then she also decided to stay home on Saturday. And so she didn't come with me Saturday, but we did manage to go on Sunday. But Friday, I did go out with my friend Ellen, and we decided we were going to go to the Magpie grand opening. I had been to the previous location for Magpie, but they were having a huge grand opening for their new location, and I really wanted to go see it. So I did. So we did, I should say. We managed to get to Magpie. The store is much bigger than their previous store. It's a much better layout than their previous store. It's actually in an old bank, or what used to be a bank. And I thought it was really neat that they kept the vault in as a feature to their store. And they actually use it. They have yarn back there, and they had like special yarn that was in little vault boxes. So it was very, very cutely done. And the very first person I got to meet while I was there was Liz, the black knitter. We had been talking about trying to, or I should say I have been trying to get her advice on how to get more of our black and brown brothers and sisters to come to some of our knitting events and our weekly knitting events for Columbia Sip and Knit, because I do want us to be seen as a more inclusive group. So I got to meet her, and that was very, very fun. I did get to see Adele of Lolo Bean. Her family was there. I did not get to speak with her much. She was, as we were coming, she was getting ready to head out. But while I was there, I did manage to pick up some more Lola Bean yarn. And I picked up these two. These are on her yak base. There was both fingering and DK there, and I decided to go with one of each color in the fingering weight. I could make a nice neutral shawl of some sort. I haven't found a design yet, but it is an 80-20-20 base, and this is called Black Beaver. And this one is called Corriedale, or Corriedale. I don't know. Maybe I should probably get my glasses out. And I don't have my glasses here. Sorry, guys. But they're very nice. They're very soft. They're very squishy. And I think they're going to make a beautiful shawl together. Then we decided, since we were really right around the corner from the Knot House, that we would go and see their pop-up event. I had not looked into it beforehand, so I really didn't know who was going to be there this year. We don't get to, I don't normally get to attend a pop-up event because our knitting group usually hosts the hospitality tent at Maryland Sheep and Wool, and Fridays we're usually getting everything set up and ready, and then Saturday and Sunday we're manning the tent. This year, a lot of our members were very hesitant to want to volunteer since we really didn't know where COVID was going to be at the time, because we have to let the Maryland Sheep and Wool folks know in January that we want to continue to do it, and then, you know, turn in money to pay for the tent and everything, and get sponsorships from local yarn shops to help us, because we are, you know, we're just a knitting group. We're not like an organization of any sort. But we usually host the hospitality tent with donations from local yarn shops, and then we advertise the yarn shops that helped us and helped host this hospitality tent, where the festival goers could come and take a seat, or, you know, have a light snack, because we use the donations from the yarn shops to have snacks available. We occasionally will have a winding station for folks who just cannot wait to go home and they want to wind their yarn before they leave. So normally I don't get to go to the pop-up. So this year, since we decided not to do the hospitality tent, we did go to the Knot House. So while I was there, I got to meet, oh my goodness, I can't think of her name. I can't believe this. The woman who creates the wonderful bags for Black Pearl Magic. And I managed to get one of her bags. Having sewn knitting bags, and having sewn when I used to sell knitting bags, I used to have inside pockets that were made with this type of plastic. I understand I know what goes into creating a bag like this. So I was very pleased to get my hands on one. This is their large bag. They had a much larger bag on a chair there, but I later found out that it was for a very special lady. So I can't fault her for that one. But I did get the holograph zipper, and so I'm very pleased with my purchase. And while I was online getting ready to pay for my bag, I got to see the Woolies. They were fun. So the Woolies, if you haven't watched their podcast, you should go check them out. They are from Pittsburgh. Very happy to have met them while I was there. And then as a gift for making a purchase at the Knot House, I got these Contrinkles stitch markers. And so for their pop-up, they had the Knot House, they had Chelsea of Luxe Yarns, they had Black Pearl Magic, and they had Little Fox. So each one of them has one stitch marker in this set, which I thought was a very nice gift. And then Saturday was again raining and yucky, but I went to Sheep and Wool anyway, because that's what we Marylanders do. We go to Sheep and Wool. While I was there, I got to meet up with Jessica, who is the podcaster for Tea and Biscuits. And if you have not watched her podcast, you need to go watch her podcast, because she is a very funny lady. She she piles up her works in progresses on her heads. It's quite amusing. It's quite funny. And she goes on little rants here and there sometimes. Hi, Jessica. And if I didn't say it while we were together, I thank you so much for hanging out with me on Saturday. It was a lot of fun shopping with you. But my first actual purchase for Sheep and Wool is all Jessica's fault. I blame it all on her. We went to a booth. It was Ellen Cooper's Yarn Sonnets. Now I've tried some of their yarns in the past, but this one just, first of all, we both saw it knitted up in kind of like a shawly vest, like something that you would wear over your shoulders, but it was very loosely knit, and it had buttons on it, so you could like button it in the front, and it could, just lay on your shoulders. But I saw this skein, and I couldn't resist. So this is a skein. It's called Potluck. It's 150 yards of different yarns combined together. It's 4 to 5 ounces of bulky yarn. And so this will probably get knit up, maybe in conjunction with another black yarn or another multicolored, basically black yarn, or maybe this will get woven into a scarf. Who knows? But anyway, it looks like a very fun skein, and I'm sure it'll make something very dramatic with it. So thank you, Jessica. And then Saturday, I also went to the Podcasters Meetup. Right before the Podcasters Meetup, I did run into Chevy Rell from Chevy Rell Stuff. She's another podcaster, which if you haven't checked her out, you should go check her out. And I got one of her coasters, Grab Your Drink. And I got one of her pins. Grab your drink, girl. Anyway, it was a lot of fun meeting her. She was one of the podcasters that really got me through COVID. That's when I really started getting into watching knitting podcasts and wanting to do one for myself. So that was a lot of fun. I got to meet Johnny and Aquila from the Lefty Knitter podcast and Johnny Bo Dies. They were a lot of fun. I got to meet their little girl. She is so cute. Very, very sassy. Who else was there? Liz from Cocktail Hour at the Coop. Paige the Framer was there. The Woolies came by for a little bit. Oh, I got to meet Vanessa from the Nitty Witch podcast. She was a lot of fun. It was good to meet her because we had been conversing some on Instagram, and she only lives over in Delaware, so it was a lot of fun to meet her, and we got to talk for a bit. Liz was there again, Liz the Black Knitter. If you haven't watched her podcast, go watch her, because hers is a very educational related podcast, which I find very different and refreshing. She does her podcast according to and Liz, I apologize if I get this wrong, but I believe it's the pillars of Kwanzaa. So and she talks about what they mean, and she uses them in all of her podcasts. So it's educational on that. I like that a lot. And I'm blanking out. I know there was one other person there, but anyway, it was a very fun time. Unfortunately, it was a crappy day. It was cold, it was rain, and it wasn't like a downpouring rain like we had Friday. It was just that constant drizzle. It was never like not raining, but it was cold, it was windy. Oh my God, I met Tammy of Cinematic Skeins was there. How did I forget that? I was so looking forward to meeting her too. Oh my gosh. So Tammy from Cinematic Skeins was there. We were supposed to go to John and Aquila's that night, but unfortunately, by the time I left Sheep and Wool Saturday, I had an incredible migraine. I had contacted Tammy from Cinematic Skeins to see if she wanted to do dinner or if she was going to go to John and Aquila's, because I knew she had a hotel room in Columbia near me, but she had already done dinner, so I had just grabbed something, ate, and then I went to bed because my medication was not helping with my migraine. So, and then Sunday, my friend Melissa and I did go back to Maryland Sheep and Wool. It wasn't rainy, but it was still chilly. It was definitely very muddy. I'll put a picture of my boots. We had a very pleasant day. We ran into our friends, Lori and her sister Margaret, and another friend of theirs, which I can't remember her name, I'm sorry. But Margaret had learned to spin back in January. And when we went away in February for a girls' weekend away, I was blown away by how well she was spinning for being a brand new spinner. And then in March, we went down to Lori's Beach House and we went to the Delmarva Fiber Festival. And Margaret and I made a little trade. Since I can't spin yet, I found a skein of yarn at the Shirsty Cat booth. I'm sorry, not a skein of yarn. A thing of roving that I really liked at the Shirsty Cat booth that I purchased and Margaret spun up for me. And in payment, she has some natural fiber that she's spinning for herself that she wants me to dye for her. So she managed to get my fiber spun up already. And I am so in love with this skein. So this is from Shirsty Cat. This is 70% merino, 30% rainbow nylon glitz, which I had never seen before. And since Shirsty Cat didn't have any of this in a yarn base, I was very happy that Margaret had agreed to spin this roving up for me. So now I get to make a pair of socks out of this. I'm so excited. But can you see how finely, I mean, this is someone who's only been spinning since January. She learned to spin in January. So this was not a Maryland Sheep and Wool purchase, but I had to share that since it's completed. Then I went down to the Feederbrook Farm. No, not Feederbrook Farm. I went down to Schweitzer's Mill. and they had some hand spun that they were selling, and I purchased a couple of skeins. I was trying to find some that, like, this one drew my eye, and these are so not really my colors. I mean, there's a little purple in there, and I think that maybe the hues of the purple is what drew me. But I kept picking it up, and my friend Melissa was just like, you keep picking it up, you have to get it. So this is their 100% wool DK base. It's 300 yards, and this is called Blood and Ash. And then I picked up this skein to go with it. This is another DK base. And this is also called Blood and Ash. Maybe that's not the color name. Okay, well, anyway, these two went together. Not sure what I'm gonna make with them, but they're gonna go together. And then my eye caught this one. And this isn't a Schweitzer mill. This is from Lily's Fireworks. And the colors just, with the black, just drew me in. It's 100% merino, and it does not have a color name on it, so. But those were my purchases at Schweitzer Mill. Then, of course, I had to go. Melissa dragged me. She dragged me kicking and screaming to the fiber optics booth. Right, Melissa? You dragged me. You dragged me there. And the first thing I saw were some of their gradients. And being a yarn dyer, or having played around with yarn dyeing and have watched how gradients are done, I'm amazed by the talent of these ladies, or this group. I don't even know if they're all ladies, and they had all their gradients. They had knitted up in not a sock blank, but a sock tube, so that you could see the different colors. And this was one of the ones that you could barely distinguish the color changes. I felt like this was a true gradient where you really couldn't see the distinctions of when the color switched. So this one was called Spellbound. And again, these are all my colors: purples, blues, greens. This is an 80% superwash wool, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, 470 yards. And then another one that caught my eye, it was not a gradient, but it was on their cashmere base. It's called Off the Rails. Just so pretty. I mean, just stunning with colors. And that is it for my yarn purchases. Now, I did purchase a bag while I was at Sheep and Wool. I was looking for a bigger bag, a nice size bag that I could probably put one of my scrap blankets in, and all the scrap yarn, the little things of scrap yarn. And my girlfriend Joan had shown us a bag that she had purchased. So of course I had to go find that vendor. And here it is. The vendor is Cottontail Farms. So it's got nice handles on it. It's a flat bottom, lined. And what's really nice about this is if you have to overstuff it, you have a pull-up top that has a drawstring. And I thought this would be a perfect blanket bag. And then we came across one other bag maker that we both really, really liked. Except Melissa bought the bag that I wanted. But the woman who does the bags, and I can't remember her name right now, she was very, very kind. She gave me her business card. She said she had more of the fabric at home, so I need to contact her and place an order for my bag. But that was it for my Maryland Sheep and Wool purchases. And then the last thing I have to share with you is another bag, but it was another bag that I won. So my last episode, I happened to, share that I had entered into Liz the Black Knitter's February make-along, and I won a prize from her. And then in March, I had participated in Cinematic Skeins in one of Tammy's giveaways, and I won that. And I don't normally win anything, giveaways, games, whatever. Then in April, I participated with the Fiber Hustles bingo game, bingo, and I actually won a prize in bingo. And this is called Creations MAD, or Creations MAD, and I won this lovely wine project bag, and it has this, I think this is called the waxed canvas, is at the bottom. And then it's got this lovely pocket in the front if I need to store anything in here. And then it's got this beautiful lining and another pocket inside here to hold things. And then these really, really cute grape stitch markers, which I thought was adorable. And I love that the pole for this bag is a lobster claw, so you can actually keep your stitch markers on there. So I'll always have stitch markers when I use this bag. Of course, I told Aaron that, there should have been wine in the bag, because how can you give somebody a wine bag without wine? Okay, well, a knitting bag that has wine bottles on it. Anyway, I was very happy to have this, to win this, and it's a very nice bag, and I'm super excited to start using it now that I have shared it. So that is all I have for this episode. I had the one finished object, the 3 whips, and the purchases from Maryland Sheep and Wool. Now that school is almost over, I hope to get on a more regular scheduled podcasting schedule, a more regular podcasting schedule. Ugh, that's a mouthful. That should be easier for me once school closes, because I will not be working for the summer. I will actually be probably doing a whole lot of yarn dyeing and getting the shop up and going. So until next time, hug your brothers and sisters of all kinds, because after all, we are, again, one race. We are a human race. We think, we express, we love. We need to stop teaching hate. We need to do a better job of protecting our children. And we need to do a better job of protecting our Black and brown brothers and sisters. So I was going to talk about some books that I've read, but I don't think I can go into them right now, because I will share that one was White Evangelical Racism, which is a very scary book to read, to realize how far evangelical religion has gotten into our politics. And the other is The Black and the Blue, which is a story written by a African American police officer who is now in the FBI, and about all what we all know is the racism that happens in the police departments, and how he is trying to combat that, but also how in certain areas it is very difficult to make that change, or to change that attitude, because police across this country do not have like one governing body. They don't have one, I don't even know how to explain it, one set of factors that they all have to follow. They can't all afford to do background checks, or do the psychological testing to see if they really should be a police officer. So it was very eye-opening to read both of these books. And yeah, I can't get into them right now because I don't know how much I'm going to be able to share without breaking down. So we need to do better, folks. We need to do better as a society. We've just got to. So without further ado, I wish you well. Please hug somebody, hug a child, hug your brothers and sisters, hug, and I don't mean your blood brothers and sisters. I mean your brothers and sisters in the human race. So I will see you in 2 weeks' time. I wish you well. Happy knitting, happy crocheting. Ciao, ciao. I don't think he likes his leash.
Second time, he was doing it earlier today.
I love it.
It's great. When I first got a walking wheel, all my friends are like, "You're crazy." But I love it. I put music on, and it's just so relaxing. I feel energized. I gotta be by myself for 2 hours.
So I had to share this beautiful jacket at Cheap and Wool.
That's cool.
This was a 12-year-old. I understand she spun the yarn, wove it, and then sewed the jacket. And did that embroidery. A 12-year-old. Okay. Can you believe that? Just stunning. I know, right?
Seeing it start to come together.
You could get one for little kids.
But I think probably about 150 hours of actual felting. So not including troubleshooting and changing it and armature and all of that. Oh yeah. Actually, she doesn't have armature. Really? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's a little piece of wire in her tail, so I can stay curved, but that's it.
Stunning.
Wow. Wow.